Hello and welcome to another Korean lesson from Korean Studio. My name is Kim Gi-hwan. In today's lesson, we're going to learn how to use 러 and 려고 to talk about our intentions and the purpose of our actions. So let's begin with how we use 러. Now, we use 러 to talk about the purpose or intention of one's movement. So to say, I went somewhere to do something, we combine 러 with a verb to describe why we went somewhere. Here's an example sentence. 저는 민수 만나러 카페에 갔어요. I went to the cafe to meet 민수. 저는 민수 만나러 카페에 갔어요. So in this sentence, 만나러 functions in the same way as to meet in English. And 만나러 combines the verb 만나다, which means to meet, with 러 and becomes 만나러. So 민수 만나러, to meet 민수, is the purpose of 카페에 갔어요, went to the cafe. And because we use 러 to talk about the purpose or the intention of someone's movement, 러 is used with various verbs that describe someone's movement. Most commonly the verbs 가다 and 오다, which mean to go and to come. Here are two more example sentences. 저는 영어를 배우러 학원을 다녀요. I go to a language school to learn English. 저는 영어를 배우러 학원을 다녀요. 민수는 코트 입으러 집에 들어갔어요. 민수 went in the house to put on a coat. 민수는 코트 입으러 집에 들어갔어요. Okay, so again, to describe the purpose or intention of going to a language school or going in the house, we use 러 with verbs and form 배우러 and 입으러. And in terms of how we add 러 if the verb doesn't end in 받침. And we add 으러 if the verb does end in 받침. So 배우러 combines 배우다 and 러. And 입으러 combines 입다 with 으러. And to describe movement, we can use the verb 다니다, which means to go or to attend. And we can also use compound verbs like 들어가다, which means to go in or enter. Okay, so that's how we use 러 to talk about the intention or the purpose of our movement. Let's now take a look at how we use 려고. And in essence, 려고 functions in a similar way to 러. We use 려고 to talk about the intention or the purpose of our actions. Let's first take a look at an example sentence. 저는 민수 만나려고 카페에 갔어요. I went to the cafe to meet 민수. 저는 민수 만나려고 카페에 갔어요. As you can see, this sentence is exactly the same as the sentence we saw earlier using 러. And 려고 can basically function in the same way as 러. However, we can also use 려고 with verbs other than verbs of movement. Here's an example sentence. 저는 저녁 먹으려고 배달 음식을 주문했어요. I ordered delivery food to eat dinner. 저는 저녁 먹으려고 배달 음식을 주문했어요. So in this sentence, the verb in the second clause is the past form of 주문하다, 주문했어요, which means to order. So as well as describing the purpose or intention of one's movement, 려고 can be used with all kinds of other verbs. And just like 러, if the verb we're adding 려고 to ends in 받침, we add 으려고. So 먹다 combines with 으려고 to become 먹으려고. Okay, so that's the overview of how we use 러 and 려고. But let's now take a look at some usage rules we need to be aware of when using 러 and 려고. First, when we use 러, the verb in the second clause can be in past, present, and future tense. But when we use 려고, the verb in the second clause can only be in past and present tense. So we can say 저는 친구 만나러 서울에 갈 거예요. I will go to Seoul to meet a friend. However, we generally don't say 저는 친구 만나려고 서울에 갈 거예요. This sentence now sounds very unnatural. Second, when we use 러, the verbs in the second clause can be imperatives, as in ordering to do something, or form suggestions. So we can say 공부하러 도서관에 가. Go to the library to study. 공부하러 도서관에 가. 5. 공부하러 도서관에 가자. Let's go to the library to study. 공부하러 도서관에 가자. However, we don't say 공부하려고 도서관에 가. 5. 공부하려고 도서관에 가자. These sentences sound very unnatural. Lastly, we only use descriptive verbs, adjectives with 려고 and not 러. However, when we use descriptive verbs with 려고, we first have to add 아어치다, which means to become, to the descriptive verb. So the descriptive verb 건강하다 means to be healthy. And we can add 아어치다 to 건강하다 and form 건강해지다. And this means to become healthy. So if I want to say I go to the gym to become healthy, I can say 저는 건강해지려고 헬스장에 다녀요. 저는 건강해지려고 헬스장에 다녀요. 건강해지려고 means to become healthy. And as we saw earlier, 헬스장에 다녀요 means to go to the gym. And the key point to note is that we cannot form the same sentence using 러. So we cannot say 저는 건강해지러 헬스장에 다녀요. This sounds very unnatural. Okay, so one last point to note is that we often use 려고 하다 to talk about our intention to do something, our plan to do something in the future. So let's say that someone asks if you want to go to the cinema to watch a film, but you decline the offer and say, sorry, I'm going to the library tomorrow. I intend on going to the library tomorrow. And to say this, we can say, 저는 내일 도서관에 가려고 해요. I'm planning on going to the library tomorrow. 저는 내일 도서관에 가려고 해요. Also, if you want to tell someone that you intend on eating lunch in the office, you can say, 저는 사무실에서 점심 먹으려고 해요. I'm planning on eating lunch in the office. 저는 사무실에서 점심 먹으려고 해요. So we can add 려고 하다 or 으려고 하다 to verbs to talk about our intention or plan to do something. Okay, so today we learned how to use 러 and 려고 to talk about our intentions and the purpose of our actions. And while there are certain similarities, there were also various differences in how we use 러 and 려고. That's it for today, and I look forward to seeing you soon again. Bye-bye.